The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios.
Hi, this is Mia Mosinzia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartradio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-winning author Mia Mosinzia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Mosinzia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosinzia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes, Riley, and Mills. So grab your copy today for Girls Missing by Mia Mosinzia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartradio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music, and more. Coming soon to HamiltonRadio.net every Thursday night at 9. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies. Makes great gifts 24/7. Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Mosinzia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Mosinzia. Check it out today. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, themikewagnershow.com. And you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com at the Mike Wagner Show. Make sure you do so today. We're here with a terrific gentleman who suffered with chronic fatigue for over 16 years. And he also uses his own body as a petri dish and researched hundreds and hundreds of hours to provide valuable insights into therapy that'll potentially change lives. We'll talk about that. He also uses the fight method to combat what he's got and everything, encourages everyone to do the same, also provides advice like beat depression, get back to sleep, stay motivated, remain positive, and more. He's got a new book called Chronicfatiguegone. We'll talk about that. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Sandiego, the author of Chronicfatiguegone, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Jason Boyce. Jason, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Mike. I've never been called amazing before, but thank you so much.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It is amazing on what you went through as well, too. You suffered with chronic fatigue for over 16 years. I mean, I can't tolerate it that long. I mean, who does, you know? You use your own body as a petri dish. The only time I use it is I got to check myself. So a petri dish, boy, it's like high school days, a petri dish. And you also research hundreds of hours to provide valuable insights into the therapies that will potentially change lives. You also use the fight method. We'll talk about that. And you also provide advice like how to beat depression, how to get back to sleep, stay motivated, remain positive, and more. Yeah. You also have a brand new book called Chronicfatiguegone. We'll talk about that. And before getting to all that, Jason, tell us how you first got started.
Yeah, I mean, I got started through the illness. So I was born in Birmingham in the UK. Not Alabama, as somebody once asked me, and where's your accent gone?
Right. Y'all in UK?
Y'all UK. Yeah, and so I was born in the UK. I went to London to seek fame and fortune, as you do, after college, and I became a real estate consultant, a commercial real estate consultant in the City of London. And that was a pretty tough job in terms of, having to get up early, working all hours. And then when I was in my late 20s, I got what I thought was the flu, just a general flu. I was in bed for a couple of weeks. I felt pretty bad, had a fever, etc. saw the doctor, said, yeah, you got the flu, here's some drugs, take it easy, drink some fluids, get some rest. And I did. And I sort of got over it, kind of went back to work. And then like every day around midday, I'd suddenly get this fatigue crash come on. And I couldn't get through the day without just wanting to sleep. And it went on and it went on. And I thought, what the hell's wrong with me? Do I still have the flu? And so I went to see many doctors, doctor after doctor after doctor. And they said, yeah, it sounds like you've got the yuppie flu. I went, what the hell's the yuppie
The yuppie flu? Oh, yeah, I remember that. That's right. The yuppie flu. Yeah. That was prevalent back in the days.
Yeah. And it was a horrible name to give a very serious affliction because it kind of demeanored, what people were going through at the time by calling this yuppie flu. Everybody thought, yeah, it's just, young professionals are working too hard and they need a break. So they call this thing called yuppie flu. And it's just a reason to take an extended vacation, right? Mm-hmm. And nothing could be further from the truth because what it did was create this stigma around what we now know is chronic fatigue syndrome. Back then, it was yuppie flu. And the problem was doctors just didn't believe you were sick. They thought you were making it up. So you go to a doctor and you say, look, I'm really tired all the time. Can you help me? And he says, well, how are you feeling? Are you feeling good or are you feeling depressed? And of course, you'd say, well, I'm feeling a little depressed because, I've got no energy. I can't do anything. So they say, well, here you go. Here's some antidepressants. Give me a call in 3 months. Tell me how you feel. Well, antidepressants, they don't cure fatigue. And so fatigue is not caused by depression. Depression is caused by fatigue. And the doctors never really got a hold of this problem. And then there's stigma around it. And then in the early 2000s, there was a big study in the UK called the PACE trial. And they did this study and it actually made it worse for people like me.
Really?
Yeah, because their results were, well, there's nothing really wrong with you. You just need cognitive behavioral therapy and graded exercise therapy. And of course, both of those things don't work. Graded exercise therapy is actually disastrous for people with chronic fatigue because when you exercise, you crash. You don't have the energy to exercise. And the crash, the more you exercise, the bigger the crash. And then this trial was actually deemed flawed eventually, but it was deemed, or this is what it is for years and years and years. And everybody got chronic fatigue, couldn't get treatment because nobody would help. Doctors didn't know how to help. They just said, well, it's kind of in your head. You just got to get over it. And this is the problem that I faced and millions of others people. 2 million people in the United States alone suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome.
Now, was there any food involved or anything, or like any nutrition or anything like that? Maybe allergies or anything like that could have contributed, or maybe lacking something too much, or maybe allergic to this and all that. Did nutrition also play into it as well?
Nutrition does play into it, and it's a very important part of the puzzle. And there's a book, there's a chapter in the book called Anti-Inflammatory Diet. And so what you eat is, for anybody anyway, whatever you eat, you can either use food as medicine or poison, right? So in the book, I teach people how to use food as medicine, not poison, because obviously high sugar, high fat foods, they cause inflammation in the body. Inflammation is the number one enemy of people with chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yeah.
So yes, there's a whole chapter about food, and obviously food is important. And there's another thing that I actually complain about with general practice doctors is that they never talk about diet. You brought it up because it's an important point. But they don't talk about diet. If you see your doctor, how many times does he ask you what you've had for breakfast or what you had for dinner? Nobody talks about it.
No, right? Except they carry around a cup of coffee. And back in the days, like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they went around smoking a cigarette and being on ads. It's like, Winston tastes good like a cigarette should, and they think it's really good for you and all that. And all of a sudden, they come out with this warning that cigarettes will kill you and all that stuff. So it's like, you're right. They never did talk about nutrition and everything. You're right. It's like pills off you go, pills off you go, pills off you go. And, take 2 aspirins, call me in the morning, just took on a different meaning.
Yeah, but that's changing. There's a whole move now to holistic medicine. So what I did was find a naturopath or a functional medicine doctor And what they do is they look at everything. They say, well, do you exercise? What do you eat? Can you just tell me what your general diet's like? And they'll discuss it with you and say, well, maybe don't eat a burger 5 days a week. And they'll discuss it, and then they'll do a blood test, and the blood test will be huge, a much bigger panel of blood tests, so you can actually find out what's wrong with you. When you go to your family doctor, they'll probably do quite a narrow blood test based on very common things, which is very useful. But when you're chronically ill, you need a much wider blood panel. But yeah, I mean, I'll go through the triggers with you, chronic fatigue, because as you said, one of the triggers is actually allergies. And that's important. Food allergies are becoming more prevalent in modern society, especially lactose and gluten, which we now sort of becoming more aware of. Obviously, back in the day, nobody really paid much attention to that.
And of course, too, GMOs have also been a big issue as well, too, where it's like you got the genetically modified, you put into, cows, poultry, pigs, and everything else, fatten it up and make a quick profit. Now it's just like it's, making people sick. You're right. And I worked with a guy that was really outraged when they heard they inject that into the cows instead of let them eat grass. And that was the way to go these days before they stick hormones in there. It's just like you let them eat grass. I mean, that was the healthiest way to do it. And now it's making a comeback, grass fed.
That's what they're supposed to eat, right? I mean, but you're right. GMOs actually, nobody really knows. I mean, the GMOs came in the 70s. And American people were used basically to experiment on. Nobody knew GMOs were safe. GMOs are banned in Europe. I couldn't eat GMOs growing up in England through the 70s, 80s, 90s. They're still banned now, I believe. So why was it okay to experiment on American people? I mean, GMOs are probably okay, but we don't know that for sure. And we'll never probably know that. And you can't escape them. I mean, virtually everything is GMO'd now. Even organic foods are partly GMO'd. So it's a good point. But that's what we're stuck with anyway. And we'll never know whether GMOs actually cause chronic illnesses. We'll probably never find that out.
And how's the food in England compared to the food in the United States in terms of everything you can think of?
Oh, it's pretty much the same. I mean, the diet's now very similar. I think with the expansion of McDonald's in the 60s and 70s. And I think there are actually more McDonald's per square mile in England than there are in the United States.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So the diet's pretty much the same. It was very similar. We do have more fish and chips in England. We have a lot, which is delicious.
Oh, I'm ready for some as well, too. We'll talk more about the food, talk more about the diet. We'll talk about your book, Chronicfatiguegone, The Fight Method. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-winning author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Molson-Zia. Available on Amazon. Also, check out The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 30 podcast platforms and on every Thursday night at 9 on hamiltonradio.net. Take The Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out The Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books, merchandise, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today. Also support The Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, themikewagnershow.com. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com. But The Mike Wagner Show, make sure you do so today. We're here with a terrific gentleman who's the author of the brand new book, Chronic Fatigue Gone, out of Sandiego, Jason Boyce here on the Mike Wagner Show. Before we talk more about your book and the fight method, tell us about your journey going from England to San Diego.
Yeah. it actually came at a really good point because, as I said, I was working hard, but I was tired all the time. So my work started to suffer. And then my wife, being a super talented pharmaceutical executive, got offered a job in New Jersey. And it was like exactly at the right time. I thought, yeah, I really want to quit my job now. And
get free something off of her. Yeah.
You could go out and bring the bacon home. And so we did. So we thought, well, let's do it. Let's move to New Jersey. She got, her career just took off. I mean, just went skyward. Actually got a funny story about that in a minute. So we moved to New Jersey, and then I could work from home. And which was great. I could work 2-3 hours a day, and it just kind of, sort of helped me get better. But the truth is that I didn't get better. I actually got a lot worse when I moved to the States. And it actually got to the point where one day, and this is a true story, one day I was lying in bed and I couldn't move. I was so physically tired that I couldn't even get to the bathroom in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
I said to my wife, Sarah, look, I'm in trouble here. I'm really sick. I can't move. I just can't physically use my muscles because there's just no glucose or oxygen in my body to make me move. And I saw several more doctors and they couldn't help. So I thought, wow. I was told basically that I'm just going to have to rest. So basically my choices were, I'm going to live my life in my bedroom until I get better, or I can do something about it and start experimenting with drugs, with different modalities, different therapies, different supplements. And so I did. So that's what I did. I started using them. I started getting better and better and better. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. Why doesn't everybody know about what I'm doing? I need to tell people what I'm doing because I think this can help other people. And that's what led to the book. So I started writing the book about 2 years ago now, 2.5 years ago. So I was writing the book about chronic fatigue, and then, of course, COVID happened. Like, bang.
Oh, yeah, beloved COVID. Just takes everything out of the equation. Yes.
Oh, I was like, wow. And then I realized that the symptoms of COVID were very similar to the symptoms that I had been suffering from for all those years. And I went, well, the things that I've learned, will this help people with COVID? And I wasn't sure. So I started to rewrite the book. I had to go back and rewrite because of COVID. Halfway through that, long COVID happened. People getting long COVID, where they would get over the acute phase of the disease, and then they'd suffer from, chronic fatigue syndrome, right? Being the number one symptom of long COVID. So, wow, here we go again. So I had to rewrite other parts of the book to, include long COVID. And this is going to sound terrible, but it was kind of a real blessing. Long COVID's been a blessing for me. And I'll tell you why. Doctors now believe you when you go in, you say, got chronic fatigue. I say to people, look, if you've got chronic fatigue syndrome, just go in and tell them you've got long COVID, because now they're going to listen to you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Those two magic words, that'll get their attention.
Yeah. But it's exactly the same thing, right? In terms that it's a post-viral autoimmune reaction that causes inflammation. This is what long COVID is. This is what happened to me through that virus that I originally thought was the flu, but turned out to be something else. We believe Epstein-Barr virus, which is a very common virus. And then this has had a real knock-on effect. So, for example, the National Institute of Health that provide funding for all these diseases that we have, they were putting this is no joke, $5 million a year into chronic fatigue syndrome for people, for over 2 million people suffering.
Wow.
Now with long COVID, guess what they've done? That's gone from 5 million to 2 billion a year.
Oh my goodness.
Just because of the awareness, just because there are more people suffering. It's gone from zero to stratospheric,
Pretty much.
This is great. This is great for us, though. For the chronic fatigue community, it's fantastic. Because now it means that all those antiviral drugs have suddenly come to the fore. They're being developed. And within a very short amount of time, we're all going to have these antiviral drugs available to us. And that's going to be great. It's going to be a real boost. I mean, I've talked about these antivirals in the book as well to educate people on what's coming through the pipeline. But these drugs are going to help us immensely. Actually, I just want to discuss quickly, it's quite a funny story, but the reason why biotechnology companies and pharmaceutical companies are now developing all these drugs is because of the success of the vaccines. The vaccines be hugely successful for these companies, in particular Pfizer and Moderna. Now, the story about Moderna, that Moderna went from this very small biotech company to this very large biotech company within a few months. Credible growth story. My wife was offered an interview with Moderna to become the president of the company.
Wow.
About 3 years ago. She turned it down, didn't even go for the interview because she didn't think that they had any decent drugs in their pipeline. I said to her, wow.
It's almost like, who knew, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it could go like 5 years, like it explodes first and it just crashes. It could be that type of thing. But I guess I kind of wondered is Pfizer and Moderna really any different? I guess that's a question I kind of wonder. Is it really any different?
Well, it is for the people who work there.
No. I mean, not for the work. I'm talking about medicine itself. So makes you wonder about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they got super lucky with COVID, right? In that they could develop a vaccine. They did a great job. They developed the vaccine very quickly. And of course, they made a lot of money. But just incidentally, if she had got that job, well, I think we've done the math. She would be worth about $500 million right now. But oh well, we missed that boat. But anyway, going back to the book, that was just one of those things in life.
It's good to share. We can all learn. It's good. So
you take one path and go that way. You take one path, it could have gone the other way. But hey, but yeah. So I wrote the book, got it finished, and we're here right now. It's for sale on Amazon, like yesterday, the day before, and I'm just really excited to get this book out there because I honestly believe that it is truly going to help people get better from not just chronic fatigue, but now long COVID.
Mm-hmm. And certainly do so as well, too. We'll talk about the fight method as well. You're listening to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor, The Mike Wagner Show, international war-ring author Mia Mosensia Missing, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the author of Chronicfatiguegone, Jason Boyce, after this time out.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshazia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Ray Powers, and boy, are you in luck. Right place, right time. Tuned in to The Mike Wagner Show. You heard me.
We're back with author Jason Boyce of Chronicfatiguegone here on The Mike Wagner Show. We talked about his story about chronic fatigue and how it came to the forefront, his journeys and everything else. You also explained there you used the fight method as well, too. And, of course, there's 5 elements of the fight method. And tell us about that.
Yeah, so there's, there's 5 basic therapies that when combined together, they're just a tremendous knockout punch for chronic fatigue. 4 of them are, let's say, accepted by the medical community. One of them is a bit controversial. So let me just start with a controversial one. It's called hydrogen peroxide therapy.
Oh, yeah, the age one. That's right.
Hydrogen peroxide. So the chemical formula is H2O2. Water is H2O. Well, hydrogen peroxide is H2O2, so it has an extra oxygen atom. And when you digest it, when it goes into the bloodstream, that oxygen atom splits off and it provides oxygen to the blood. Now, if you remember, one of the symptoms of acute COVID was a massive reduction in blood oxygen levels, which led to very serious health consequences and of course, death. And what hydrogen peroxide does is just give you an instant boost in blood oxygen levels. And this gives you a boost of energy, because you need oxygen for energy. 90% of the oxygen derived in the body is from oxygen and not the food you eat. And it's the reason why, if you have a car accident, the first thing the medic does when they get there is put the oxygen on you. So hydrogen peroxide therapy, and this is very important, nebulizing it, not drinking it. Nebulizing it, a nebulizer is an electronic device that turns the liquid into a vapor, like a mist that you breathe in through a face mask. And you're actually breathing in tiny amounts, like 2 or 3 mil. And the problem with the medical community's view on hydrogen peroxide is that potentially it's poisonous in high concentrations. It's kind of like, I liken it to alcohol in that, alcohol's safe if you drink beer at 4 or 5% alcohol, whatever it is. But if you drink moonshine at 90% and drink it in a pint glass, you're going to get into trouble, right? So it's the same with hydrogen peroxide. They come in different concentrations. So it's very important only to nebulize 3% or lower hydrogen peroxide. Anything above that is potentially dangerous.
Now, can you buy the hydrogen peroxide at any store, or is it like a certain kind of hydrogen peroxide?
It has to be food grade hydrogen peroxide. And you can buy it on Amazon for it's so cheap to buy. You can buy a bottle this big for $15 and it will last you a year.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. And also, too, you also have the other ones, too. Let's start with the F, like in fuel your body with electrolytes, and tell us about that. And especially, that's the first most important thing, is the fuel.
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things you can do for your body is just put electrolytes in your water every day. And that's what I do, because it increases your pH, or balances out your pH levels, gives you sodium, salt, magnesium, potassium. Well, I do live in a hot climate, so I kind of need it more here than perhaps you would. But it actually increases, people may not know this, but it increases blood volume. So it actually increases the blood volume, which combined with the hydrogen peroxide, now you're getting more oxygen around the body. And the oxygen is the key to getting the more energy. So that's an important one. I'll just quickly run through the others. The other is glutathione. Maybe you heard of glutathione, but this became a real buzz word in sort of that health and wellness area. And I also nebulize that, because you can actually put it in nebulizer and breathe it in. And glutathione is called the master antioxidant.
Interesting.
So it just basically cleans out all the toxins that we're getting from our food that we discussed earlier and from the air that we breathe in. And also, this is interesting. Listen to me here. This is interesting. Don't switch off.
I'm always all.
I know this can be a boring subject, but listen to me. They did a study recently about glutathione and COVID. And if I can find the study, I want to just discuss that. Because it showed that people who took glutathione were less likely to die from COVID. So
interesting. People
low on natural glutathione in the body was something like 3.7 times more likely to die than people that didn't have the glutathione. So as a supplement, everybody should take glutathione, especially the way we are now with COVID still a danger in society. Glutathione can reduce the risk. Along with, and the other thing is a vitamin D. It's obviously a very common supplement, but the way people use it is such low doses that it doesn't really do a lot. So I've read an awful lot about vitamin D, and the higher the dose of vitamin D, generally the better it is. Vitamin D deficiency can cause all sorts of horrible health problems, including COVID. People high with vitamin D generally don't get COVID. It's even more important than vitamin C and zinc combined. So they're the So there, when you combine the vitamin D, the glutathione, and the hydrogen peroxide, you can pretty much reduce the risk of getting COVID down to, this much.
Interesting. And what other vitamins can you also take?
Well, vitamin C is really important, and people don't take enough of that either because it's very quickly absorbed by the system. So you need to take it little and often. So I actually, when I do my water in the morning, the electrolyte goes in with a vitamin C packet. So I put the vitamin C packet in every water. So I take about 4,000 mgs or 4,000 grams, 4 grams a day of vitamin C. You should add zinc to that. You should add magnesium to that. And with those combined, that's a great supplemental supplement to help.
It certainly does too. You also need to mention about the eye as well to increase energy, and tell us more about that. And how do you increase the energy? That's the last one to complete the fight.
Actually, the most important one, which is free to do, is cold therapy. And it's actually mentally quite challenging. But we have a swimming pool that's unheated on purpose. And in the winter, my wife and I get in it every day. And it tremendously reduces inflammation in the body. And you only need to be in it for 3 minutes. If you don't have a pool, use the shower. Just get in a cold shower. And it reduces inflammation. It improves adrenal function. It stops food cravings. It lowers blood sugar. But it does reduce the manhood size.
That we can talk about in the adult version sometime.
That's a subject for another time.
Oh my gosh, that is really good. I love that fight method. And where can we find more on the book as Chronic Fatigue Gone, Jason? Where can we find more about it?
Yeah, so there's a website called chronicfatiguegone.com, which is my website, which has blogs and information on it. Then you can go to amazon.com to buy the book, and it's also on barnesandnoble.com and smashwords.com. So yeah, it's there to be found. So please, it's also available in Kindle and in paperback as well. Yeah.
We certainly will check that out. We're with author Jason Boyce of Chronic Fatigue Gone here on the Mike Wagner Show. He suffered with chronic fatigue for over 16 years and gives us a secret to it. I mean, that's greatly appreciated. We love hearing about it. It's been amazing. And what can we expect from you in 2022 and beyond, Jason?
Well, glad you asked that, Mike. So because, as I was saying, I had to rewrite part of the books for COVID, long COVID. And now the book's finished, I'm still learning a lot about long COVID, not just me, but everybody's learning more and more about long COVID. So what I wanted to do is write a book specifically tailored to people who suffer from long COVID. So my next book is going to be called Long COVID Gone. So I'm thinking of having a whole series of Gone ! As a series of books, but Long COVID Gone. And I think I can drill down all the truly great therapies that are specific to long COVID. So that's one book. And then the other book after that is Chronic Depression Gone, because I learned a lot about depression because I suffered from it myself. And actually, if you had a time, Mike, I just want to discuss depression with you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot. You also provide advice as well, too, like providing advice on beat depression, get back to sleep, stay motivated, remain positive. It's like, I totally forgot all about it. I need to take more vitamins to remember this stuff.
Yeah. So about 70% of people suffer from depression at some point in their lives. So there should be no stigma attached to it. It's just a common thing that people get. And I learned a lot about it, apart from obviously going to your doctor and taking the correct antidepressants when you need them. That's important. But there's so much more you can do when you have depression. One is not watch horror movies. Don't listen to political commentary on cable news. That's really important. Watch comedy shows. Watch the Mike Wagner Show as often as you can.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's so important. I mean, I'm so glad you brought that up. And yes, the Mike Wagner Show will make you healthy and not give you depression. And yes, the proof is right here, folks.
But the book goes through all the different supplements that can help fight depression, and they're important. But there's something I really want to discuss, and it's very important. And it's something I've done now. It's called Ketamine Therapy. It's a little bit controversial. But ketamine is a psychotropic, psychoactive drug. Yeah. And
psychoactive, interesting.
Yes, but it's legal. It's legal to administer by going through a clinic. So there's a clinic near me. I found it. And they administer ketamine through an IV drip that lasts for 40 minutes. What does ketamine do, I hear you ask? Well, glad you asked, Mike. Ketamine.
I was waiting for you to say that too. So,
so ketamine, it's incredible what it does. It's changing the landscape of depression as we talk. Ketamine's used for people who are resistant to antidepressant treatment. So let's say somebody's chronically depressed for years and they've tried all the pills and nothing's worked, and they've got to the point of suicide. Could you imagine being that low? You get to the point of suicide. Ketamine is like the last treatment that people get when they get suicidal. And within the first 40 minutes of ketamine treatment, that thought process can be reversed like that.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, and it's worked over and over and over again for lots of people. And what attracted me to ketamine wasn't to cure depression, because at the time I was fine, pretty much mentally okay. But I found a study that ketamine can also reverse fatigue problems. The study done in 2016. I thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder, could I get the doctor at the clinic to give me ketamine based on this study? So I told him about it, and he said, yeah, come in and we'll try it. So I did ketamine therapy, and it's the wildest thing in the world. You go on this crazy psychedelic trip where you completely leave your body and you go into this, what I can only explain as like
almost like LSD back in the 60s or something. It's like, I think we've all been there, done that. I think we got the idea. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
So you go on this crazy trip and you come out of it, you feel pretty drowsy and a bit nauseous, but the next day you go, oh, wow, the sun's a little brighter today. I feel a little happier. I don't know why I feel so happy. And the effect lasts for months. So I think ketamine, my personal opinion, I think ketamine should be the first line of treatment and not the last line of treatment for depression. So I would recommend people check it out. If you know people who are depressed or you're depressed, check ketamine therapy out, because it could change your life.
We certainly will too. And also good advice on getting back to sleep, stay motivated, remain positive. And, some of the things that's like, what are some of the secrets that you share as well?
Yeah, well, getting back to sleep.
Don't get back to sleep now, though. I'm saying so.
No, but sleeping is a problem for obviously millions of people, but it's a huge problem for people with long COVID and people with chronic fatigue syndrome. It's just one of the problems you have, which makes the fatigue worse, right? So if you can't get through the night's sleep, it makes the fatigue worse. So getting back to sleep, now that took me a long time to figure it out. Oh boy. I'm going to go back to cold therapy. Cold therapy helps you sleep through the night better because it reduces inflammation. And obviously, there's a lot of drugs out there. There's the Ambien, Lunesta. They're the kind of sedatives. But there's also the antihistamines, which are great, which I can recommend. Sort of what they call Benadryl. Benadryl is probably the thing that most people go to, and that's great.
A lot of the over counter. They mainly get out there over the counter. That's
right. It's an over-counter drug. And then for people who are really struggling to sleep, there's obviously antidepressants. Tricyclic antidepressants in particular can help get back to sleep, but they have side effects. So I wouldn't recommend those. Okay, so there's several things everybody needs to do to get back to sleep properly. One is blackout blinds. Don't let any light bleed through. The second one is reduce the lights on like clock radios. I've got one of these thermostats on the wall that just radiates bright light, so cover that up. That can actually affect sleep. Wear blue light blocking glasses at night. If you're going to watch TV, you're going to be on the computer or your iPad. The blue light blocking glasses are excellent because when you sit and watch TV and we're having all this radiation and light that's affecting our melatonin production, you need melatonin to sleep. So when your melatonin production's down, it's just harder to get to sleep. So the blue light blocking glasses are very important. You can also get an app that automatically blocks the blue light on your devices. So that's really worth doing for everybody. If you're affected by noise, wear earplugs, that's obvious, which I do. Don't drink caffeine after midday. Seems obvious, but people still drink coffee.
Or drink soda or
soda or even tea. There's caffeine in tea as well. People don't realize quite a lot of caffeine in tea.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Apart from chamomile tea, you can drink that just before bed. It actually helps you go to sleep. So that's a good tip.
And also green tea as well too, mint tea and also black tea as well too. Green tea is very popular as well too. I have it with lemon and honey. It's terrific, I'll tell you.
As long as you get the decaffeinated version,
right? Yeah.
Green tea, yeah. So drink the decaf version of green tea.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you snore, you need to fix it. So there's things that can stop snoring: breathe right strips, mouth tapes, head straps, nasal dilators, mandibular devices. Mandibular devices, putting this out right.
Mm-hmm.
They're devices that go in the mouth and they open or they move the jaw slightly forward so you can breathe. And the other thing is very important is to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic nervous system is going to help you sleep more than the opposite, which is the sympathetic nervous system. And the way to calm that down is to stimulate something called the vagus nerve. And you do that by, guess what? Cold plunge, again, really good for calming the vagus nerve. Meditation.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
Meditation. I know a lot of people really struggle with meditation. I do too, actually. But I've got a quick hack if you want a hack. Do you want a quick hack for meditation? Let's say you can't meditate because your mind races. It's common. One good thing to do is to hold your breath. Breathe in, hold your breath, breathe out. Only for 2 seconds, breathe out, hold your breath. And whilst you're holding your breath, push your hands together in a praying motion like this. Push them together. Hold your breath until you really want to breathe in. Breathe in. The first breath in actually stimulates the vagus nerve. It's true. And if you do it 3 or 4 times a day, you'll find within a couple of weeks, you start to sleep better because now you've activated your parasympathetic nervous system. It's a great trick. Another great trick is, I call it the Tack Tap Method, whereby if you sit up in bed or sit up in a chair just before you go to sleep. And what you do is you do this. You tap your thighs in a rhythmic motion about once every second. And then over the space of about 5 minutes, you slow it down. And you slow it down. And you slow it down. Sounds weird, right?
It almost sounds like a clock that's winding down needs to be wound up.
It's exactly what it is. And it's the same reasons, babies go to sleep when you pat them on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the rhythm that affects your brain waves. It slows the brain waves down because your brain becomes in tune with the tapping. And when you slow the tapping down, it slows the brain waves down and it helps you get to sleep. And it's simple to do. It takes 5 minutes. It's free. It's easy. And it works.
Oh, that's so interesting. I love these life hacks as well, too. Staying motivated, remain positive, and I'm sure we can do all that here. We're with author Jason Boyce of Chronic Fatigue Gone, the Mike Wagner Show, and just a couple more things. I mean, you've been totally amazing, learned a lot from me, Jason. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Who's influenced me?
Yeah, your biggest influence.
Oh, I bring you influence. Well, that'd be nice.
Me?
I hope so.
Oh, that's very nice. I've never had anyone say that to me, to be honest with you. That's good.
Oh, no, I've watched a lot of your shows. I think they're just really entertaining. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, appreciate as well, too. And I'd like to talk to you more afterwards as well, too, and everything like that. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Yeah, I got a little quote. Don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. And when you feel like giving up, don't give up.
That's very good advice. I like that. We're with author Jason Boyce of Chronic Fatigue Gone, the Mike Wagner Show. Jason, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Learned a lot from you. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Or can people purchase or check out your book?
Thank you, Mike. It's been a real pleasure to meet with you today. Thanks for having me on.
And the website, where can they purchase?
Yeah, so it's chronicfatiguegone.com. And that will give you a link through to the Amazon page. And it will teach you a little bit about what I've discussed today as well.
Okay, that sounds very good. Once again, Jason, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'll love to have you back. We wish you all the best, and you've got a great future ahead of you.
Oh, thanks so much, Mike. I appreciate it. Take care. Thank you.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionsea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartradio, iTunes, YouTube, AnchorFM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.